So one thing that I will ask, I can already start asking now, and then I will ask again as other people come. If you want and feel like, please write in the chat your name, surname, and in case you want, again, this is not compulsory, but if you want, in case you want, you can also add your link, be it a LinkedIn profile or anything else, in case you are eager to connect with other people. I have just given the example there, name, surname, and my LinkedIn. Anybody here, if you are, we're just trying to make sure, this normally is always been an in-person event where people also have an opportunity to connect with each other if they want to. So trying to learn more and more how can we do something similar in using platforms like this. And again, I invite everybody as they come in, feel free to put your video on at the beginning. And then in a couple of minutes, once we start, I will ask everybody to put your video off so that we can start. One more minute and we start. Super. So for all the latest people who has just joined, feel free to write your name, surname, and the LinkedIn profile in the chat. That in case you want to connect with other people who are present here. Also, as we are starting now, my invitation is to keep your video on just for the start, if you want. Others. So that's as close as you can get to an in-person meeting that normally are our future of work meetings. So it's good that people keep coming. We are expecting around 50 people. I think 59 people signed up. So I think people will be joining as we go. So we are ready to start. It's wonderful to have you, to see you all here. The Future of Work community has been silent for, I think now 6 months. Guilty me. Too easy to put the blame on COVID-19. It's actually, it's all on me and us who haven't found the discipline to gather again. But it's really great to see everybody here. The purpose of this community, Future of Work community, is really to discuss together topics and trends that are related to our work, but from an individual perspective. Sort of, how do I deal personally with these trends? How do I struggle with them? How do I succeed with them? And share these stories with one another. So in the same spirit, after I've met with the team of Wikimedia Switzerland a few months ago, I really thought that this was something worth sharing for this community. I am almost 100% sure that all of us have used at least once Wikipedia. But I don't know how many of us understand what is the work and the organization behind Wikipedia, and broadly what is called Wikimedia. And I was really impressed by learning how this works a few months back. And today I am so happy to have the team here. We have the Swiss Wikimedia team here, but we also have Leila from San Francisco, from the US, calling in Hi Leila there. From the Wikimedia Foundation, I assume sort of global head office or something like that, headquarter of the foundation. Yes. So having said that, that's a very quick introduction. I would like to start. Now I can ask everybody, I want to give a suggestion. If you take on the Zoom on the top right of the screen, you can normally switch between speaker view and gallery view. So the idea is keep a gallery view that is normally more pleasant, is the one where you can see everybody at the same time. And another thing that you can do, you can, if you right click somewhere, you normally can only see people with the video on. So you don't have to see the black boxes with the name. That's the setting I suggest for watching. And normally you can do that by right click to any black box. And then you can click on hide non-video participants. And all of a sudden, what you see on the screen is only the people with the video, okay? So if that works, that's the screen that I have. And now I would like to ask, please, everybody to put your video off and just leave Ilario. I know you have a poll. If we can start with that poll. And the idea is, hopefully you are in front of a computer and hopefully you have a mobile with you. And if it is so, it's easier. If it's not like this, maybe you can use still your computer. So if I can ask you to go through your mobile to www, as you can see on top of the slide, menti.com. And then you enter the code that you read there, 101290. Like this, you can answer the question. And the question is really Wikimedia projects and I. So how do you rate these three sentences? I know Wikimedia project. 1 is strongly disagree, 5 strongly agree. The second one, the information of Wikimedia project is reliable. The third one, behind Wikimedia projects, there is no control. So let's have a look at that. And you can submit your answer. And let's see how that plays for us. I can see that slowly all of us are able to enter the poll. And while we are answering the question, I would like to ask Jenny to put her video on and join. And I think we can keep this slide in the background while people continue to ask. And Jenny, if you can unmute yourself and present a little bit more about who you are, the team, and Wikimedia Switzerland.
Sure. Thank you very much, Carlo. And hello to everyone around the globe joining to this call. I'm Jenny. I'm leading Wikimedia here in Switzerland. And I'm not astonished at all to see that there are not that many people maybe who know Wikimedia projects, as we can see in the poll. Most of you might know Wikipedia. If I could see you right now, I would ask you, you know, whether you would know Wikidata or whether you would know Wiki Voyage, or whether you would know other of our Wiki projects. You might even ask me, you know, if we are also in the WikiLeaks pot, you know, but I would then say, well, that's the only Wiki project we're not part of. But many of the others are actually behind Wikimedia. So Wikimedia is actually an association. You will hear later from Leila, who is here from San Francisco, as Carlo already introduced her, a bit more about the foundation and how this works. I am here to show you or to present you a little bit about Wikimedia in Switzerland. We are one of the recognized chapters from the foundation. We here in Switzerland have a budget of approximately 1.3 million. We have 9 people working for the association. people who are based everywhere in Switzerland. We are a truly virtual organization. So even before COVID, we were all sitting behind our computers and traveling by train across Switzerland to meet people and to meet each other. We don't work full time. We all have something else next to our wiki job. And we are really taking care as an association of the wiki projects. The wiki projects are not only Wikipedia, as I've mentioned before, but many other tools, many other people as well are behind these projects. Here in Switzerland, we take care of a couple of important things, which are first of all, of course, our community of freelance people, of people who are working as volunteers, helping us and being there for the various projects. And then, of course, we are also taking care of GLAM projects like galleries, libraries, archives, and museums, where we collaborate with most of the bigger institutions here in Switzerland. We also take care of education, and you see here on the screen Ilario, who's my team member and collaborator, sitting right there in Lugano and taking care not only of the Italian-speaking community, but also of education programs. So you'll hear him together with Sarah, who's a consultant in that area and who works closely with Ilario in terms of open education. And then we also work in outreach together with Parliament, you know, on issues like copyright. We have now worked on issues as well, like the COVID tracking app. Do we have an opinion on that? What do we do? Where should it go? And all issues actually touching upon open, be it open source, open data, other open topics are really that we're taking care of here in Switzerland. Maybe interesting for you to know as well is that we don't receive any government funding or anything like that. It's really people like you and me donating 5 Swiss francs, 10 Swiss francs, etc., who make us thrill and who make us work and who support our work in the country. But we do also, as a chapter here in Switzerland, support other works around the globe. We are also, of course, having major fundraising campaigns through the banner every year, money that flies directly into the Wikimedia movement and which is redistributed to the whole movement across the globe, to countries as well where there is nearly no internet or nearly no project, so that we can really ensure free knowledge across the globe. So I don't want to hold you up a lot now today, because we're here to speak around very important topics. And before leading or giving the mic to Ilario here and to Sarah, I just wanted to thank you all for being there. And I've put my LinkedIn profile as well in the chat. If you have questions, if you want to connect, if you want to meet us, please do get in touch. And we're really happy to answer your questions, requests, or even project ideas to brainstorm with you, or anything you would like to do. So thanks a lot, and I hope you'll enjoy this webinar. Thanks, Carlo.
Thank you, Jenny, for this introduction. Wonderful. So we will go on now with Leila. If I can ask Leila to put her video on, and maybe Ilario to stop sharing the screen. I can see that this is the first result. Super. And so after Leila, who will give us a strong understanding, I would say, of what's behind the whole Wikimedia and Wikipedia machine. After that, we will have also some further explanation from Sarah and Ilario. Then we will have an interactive Q&A. We will do then a treasure hunt, interactive with all of you, which basically we will be hunting fake news and see how the whole Wikimedia ecosystem can help us when we're dealing with fake news. And hopefully after that, we will, the idea is to break out in rooms for 10-15 minutes to reflect on what we just experienced, and then come back and do some closing remarks. So no further ado, Leila, if you can unmute yourself, and then perhaps if you want to share your screen, you should be able to.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Carlo. Can you hear me okay? Okay. I need, I think, some capability from you to share my screen. If you can add me as, oh yeah. Perfect. So I'm going to share my whole desktop with you all. And let me go to presentation mode. Can you see my screen? Yes, perfect. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Leila Zia. I'm the head of research at the Wikimedia Foundation. Thank you so much for the invitation, and thanks for the opportunity to have this conversation with you. I am connecting from sunny Berlin, California, where I live. I'm actually sitting at our dining table. You may see the rest of the stuff on our dining table. Due to COVID, we're kind of stuck in place, similar to many others. I just want to apologize in advance that my timer is on my phone, so I'll be looking aside from time to time. I'm not distracted fully. It's just that I'm keeping track of time. Okay, so let me get started. I'm going to talk with you about free knowledge by all for all. And I'm going to very briefly tell you about Wikimedia Foundation. Wikimedia Foundation, it is a nonprofit organization with roughly around 400 staff. It is headquartered in San Francisco, but the staff are hired across currently, I believe, 37 countries. So it's a relatively global organization. My whole team is actually remote. None of them are in San Francisco themselves. The foundation provides broad support to Wikimedia communities and projects. By broad support, I mean servers, data centers, legal and communication support, etc. We do not create or modify content. This is something that is done solely by Wikipedia volunteers, and we do not define or enforce policies on the projects. These policies there are some exceptions, like very few exceptions to what I'm stating here, but for the most part, Wikipedia policies are defined by volunteers and enforced by volunteers on the projects, and it's something important to remember. So our role is primarily a support role within the Wikimedia ecosystem. This is my team. We are a relatively small team of 5 research scientists, and we have a research fellow from EPFL in Lausanne. We have an array of former collaborators in academia and industry that we work with on the different projects. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the team and structure because I'm here mostly to talk with you about Wikipedia and Wikimedia projects and their trustworthiness and reliability. So I'm going to take you from year 2020 now back to 2001, when Wikipedia was born as an encyclopedia that was supposed to be the encyclopedia that anyone can edit and access for free. And this already ambitious goal, 19 years fast forward, has turned Wikipedia to the largest encyclopedia that humankind has ever built. It has close to currently 54 million articles, and this is counting as we speak. During this presentation, the number of articles are increasing. It is represented in more than 280 languages, 160 of them are actively being edited. It receives 10 million monthly edits, 15 billion monthly page views from 1.5 billion unique devices from across the globe. And I would say maybe even more importantly than any other numbers, it's been possible to have Wikipedia thanks to the volunteer contributions of editors, 500,000 editors who come from across the globe and make the project happen. This is the count for registered and unregistered volunteers who come on a monthly basis to the project. Wikipedia is a major entry point for learning. We go to Wikipedia for a variety of reasons. We know today that people, including ourselves in this virtual room, we go there when we are inspired by a conversation and we want to prove a point to a colleague or to a friend. We go there if we watch a movie and we want to follow up on the plot or learn about the director of the movie. If we have personal decisions, if we are bored or we just want to randomly explore content that is educational. When we have a work or school related project, when we just want to learn something, if there's a current event and we want to keep being informed about that event, we go to Wikipedia. But we are not the only ones who go to Wikipedia. As a primary data source with highly curated data and human labeled data, Wikipedia is an asset for algorithms and platforms. As we speak, tens and hundreds and thousands of machines and bots come to Wikipedia to use Wikipedia content and also the metadata that is available around Wikipedia, for example, the hourly page views of Wikipedia articles, to learn about this amazing resource that is available on the internet for people for free. And this in turn feeds the technologies that are being built beyond Wikipedia itself. Right? When the volunteers started Wikipedia, I'm not sure if we envisioned this future, that our experiences with all the voice devices, and then if you go to iNaturalist, if you go to Maps, if you go offline on Kivix, if you look at knowledge bases and we search content on Google, if we want to do fact checking on Facebook and YouTube, Wikipedia becomes the place that we are sent back to over and over. And not only that, if you're familiar with the research field and the technological aspect of the work, you know that there are fields of studies such as knowledge extraction or natural language processing that really have become possible thanks to the data that is available, that has been made available by Wikipedia for free to the globe. The data that is available in high quality across many languages. So it is fair to say that Wikipedia really has become the centerpiece of of many of our lives. Even if we don't go to Wikipedia on a daily basis, Wikipedia comes to us through the technologies that we use, through the other platforms that we use, and directly and indirectly we interact with the project. I think it's important to underline for this particular group that Wikipedia empowers innovation. It reduces the cost of accessing content, quality content significantly, and it levels the playing field. So you won't end up with only giant tech companies having access to specific kind of knowledge, but you empower startups, medium-sized businesses, and small and large businesses to have access to knowledge that then they can build technologies based on. So how does this Wikipedia work behind the scenes? So you go to you go to Wikipedia and you attempt to edit a Wikipedia page. For the most part, you can do this in the majority of the pages on Wikipedia. And then once you submit or publish your work, readers can view that and the history of the page immediately. So it looks like basically I edit a page and then people can see it. So what is the accountability model on Wikipedia? Who assures that actually what I write there is correct or not? And this is what's happening kind of in a nutshell behind the scenes on Wikipedia. As soon as I make an edit on Wikipedia, there's a feed that is called Recent Changes feed that broadcasts this change to a variety of platforms and people. So for example, patrollers get notified that a change has been made in a page. Experienced editors who are watching pages get notified. Admins, stewards, tools, bots, systems, interfaces, they all get notified that I, Leila, have made a change on a page. And this means a variety of tools, people, and opportunities arise for checking the verifiability of the content, the sources, neutrality, typos, whether what I've added has images, how reliable are my sources, so on and so forth. So behind the scenes, while it looks on the surface that I edit a page and I save the page, behind the scenes, a lot is happening to assure that actually the content that goes to Wikipedia is quality content. I want to take 30 seconds and show you the live feed of what's happening in Wikipedia right now, because I think it's really breathtaking to watch as content is entering Wikipedia. This is real recent changes feed. You can look at, as I'm speaking, what's happening on Wikipedia right now. This is the real speed of change on Wikipedia. You can see on English, Spanish, French, Russian. You can see which username is adding how many bytes to which page, whether they're undoing an edit, making a new edit, whether they're registered, unregistered, they're bought. By the end of this presentation, we're going to have roughly around 5,000 edits on Wikipedia. And this is no joke. The volunteers are doing a magnificent amount of time. They're really incredible in making sure that the content that gets to Wikipedia is actually quality content. I would leave this forever here, but I want to switch back to my slides. And I just remind you that this is a real feed. This is what's happening on Wikipedia right now. So going back to the presentation, I'll go very brief from here. Wikipedia is providing quality content in the open. The drivers of quality content on Wikipedia are that when we empower people, the majority of the people actually do the right thing. and some edits get stopped before making their way to Wikipedia through verifiability, neutrality, locks on pages, other mechanisms. Transparency makes course correction on Wikipedia possible, which means if I make a mistake, somebody can go and revert it, or at least see that I'm making a lot of mistakes and figure out what they're going to do with me, or how we can improve the procedures on Wikipedia. And at the end of the day, it's important to underline that every edit on Wikipedia will be patrolled. The question is when and for what dimensions it will be patrolled. The challenge that Wikipedia faces is that every second Wikipedia receives around 5 edits. These require patrolling, and this means that we rely on readers to check the citations, and they don't do that. Research shows that only 1 out of 200 page views results in a check-in citation. The editors and administrators are few in numbers, and language barriers create further challenges in patrolling content. Organized groups exist, and they attempt to manipulate content across the projects. And that was my timer. And that's part of what my team does, focusing on, we do this with a variety of former collaborators to make sure that we empower editors to improve the knowledge integrity on the Wikimedia projects. I'm not going to go through the details of that. If you're interested, happy to talk. I want to leave you with the message that the impact of Wikipedia is huge. It's well beyond just an online encyclopedia. The quality of the content is very high on the project, and the scale of patrolling on the project, especially given the fact that volunteers are responsible for this, is impressive. There are other projects on Wikipedia that I didn't talk about. I think Jenny mentioned earlier, Wikidata, which is knowledge base around Wikipedia, Wikisource, which is the free sources and documents available to Wikipedia, MediaWiki as the software that Wikipedia runs on, Commons as a resource, as a media resource, and other projects. I encourage you to explore. I'll leave you with these links here, and they will be in the slides. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Leila. Thank you so much. I'm not sure it's only me, or I have a little bit of a slow screen. Maybe it's the heaviness of your slides, I don't know. But as long as, yeah, this is probably the slides. Now it's better. So I think that's amazing. It's a first understanding of what's behind the whole machine. And like I said before, and I wrote in the chat, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat. Leila's staying with us. We just want to hear now from Ilario and Sarah. If I can ask you, Ilario, also to put your video on. Yeah, some more information about how Wikimedia works, and after that we will engage in the Q&A. So meanwhile, if you have any question, please type them. Over to you, Sarah and Ilario.
Thank you. Ilario?
You need to unmute yourself, Ilario, and
sorry, forgot. Yes. Yes, I would say that I'm Wikipedian since 2006. So when every time I see this presentation, is always for me something new to discover. Yes, as Jenny said, I have in charge of the education program in Switzerland. It's almost already 2 years. And when I've taken this role, I discovered that a lot of people doesn't know exactly how Wikipedia works, while for me this is quite natural. So when I speak with the people, I always learn from them their point of view. This is why we started with Sarah Orlandi to rethink about the educational program in Switzerland, addressing considering education not only limited to schools, but also to university, to adults, to everyone. So considering education as a modus vivendi, I would say in Latin, modus vivendi, so something that people start to touch when they are children and continue until the end of their life. So I give everything in the end of Sarah, so Sarah can explain you what you are doing in education in this program.
Thank you, Ilario. I will just share my video immediately, just to go straight on. Okay, so I hope we can see the presentation. We're preparing a booklet just for the educational program, so we'll just show very quickly this first booklet as a preview. So we're trying to explain to all the educational world what kind of opportunity you have with Wikimedia project, and trying also to present the galaxy of the project, so how they're interconnected and how massive content are present in every platform and how many languages are available for every platform. So just to give a very global view and dimension of this incredible project. And then that's Wikimedia, of course, Switzerland, and then even providing images that show how it's a big community of people, many age, many nationality, just keeping and having events, a very special situation just to meet them and to work together. And the educational section is at least dedicated to all ages, from children to adults. So we're just trying with Ilario to make it very clear, because it's even very useful for tutor, professor, and professional, and even for adults. So it's a approach of lifelong learning, like he was saying just a few seconds ago. So now, sorry. Yes, I'm just, okay. And all the projects are dealing with some keywords, very, very high keywords. So the keyword are inclusivity and equity. So this, all the platform can help in integrated learning, digital gap, and special educator need, the way they're constructed. But at the same time, even about diversity gap and e-democracy and the neutral point of view. So this is a very highlight for teacher. This is, of course, the community, very smiling community. And we prepared a very schematic system just to understand that every action in the platform is strictly connected to the key competence, the European key competence. So we're just trying to explain exactly what the skill you can highlight with this project and what you can go just very, very far in the educational system. And then there are some events in which you can see those people working together, really discussing and having a peer-to-peer connection. And then this is a kind of system we are preparing just to let understand that the knowledge to learn and create content just will help at any age to acquire skill for life, and at the same time to be a very active part of the community, and a very strict community. So we're just presenting details on the Wikimedia that Jenny, Leila, and Ilario was talking about. So a very schematic presentation of the all the platform, and that's the first thing that we're doing. At the same time, I will show you. Sorry, there's a Zoom interference in my work. Sorry for this. There's something strange with the. Sorry. Okay, I'm still sharing. Okay, this is a very ambitious project that we're preparing and we're dealing with. And this is a platform that dedicated to. Sorry, I'm just making some mess. Sorry. This is a platform that is strictly dedicated to discover this project. So as you can see in this first layout, this is a very preview for you. We're connecting the project that you know, the Wiki Common and so on, all this Wikidata and all the project, with the training tool, that different level of training. And at the same time, we're connecting with the news and events, because it's a very, very dynamic work, and there's many things happening, even report and articles. So we want this part to be this interconnection, because the project, the training, and at the same time the new. So here is the interface, and we're just preparing to highlight all the pedagogical aspect, and at the same time to involve many partners, because this project will, this platform will connect and be a repository for projects from all over the world. So this is mainly the subject. And we're just working on the filter because, as you know, there's so many things, and this is the very deal is with the filter and how you can find and discover all the project. So this is at least the preview. So in this platform, everything will be very clearly explained and with the topic for all targets. So the main topics and to whom is dedicated the platform and what kind of tool you will find, at least for the training. And you will always, of course, find some related content. So it will be very easy to move from a content to another. And how it's working, this platform, is how this is a schematics form to understand. It's once the definition of open education, and it's not so easy, so it's very interesting section of the website. Then the pedagogical things that you've seen before in the booklet. Then the department, who is working on this project. I'm sorry, just finished. And then the continuous, who will just connect to the, and who will implement this content. So this, you will see the 3 sections, and then the educational community that is called to involve and implement. That is usually the Wikimedia way of including the whole community of stakeholders. So here is the presentation of the ongoing project from Ilario and Wikimedia Switzerland.
Thank you very much, Sarah. And Ilario, did you have a part to add to this before we go into our Q&A and treasure hunt?
Yes, only to say that we discovered that a lot of people are interested in this project. This is why we are also the second pillar. The second pillar of this year will be also the setup of certification. So to certify the knowledge of people in our project, so they can we can address people where they can learn, for instance, Wikidata, how we implement Wikidata, and how we can certify this the knowledge they have acquired. So basically.
Thanks, Ilario. So I invite anybody who has questions to type your question in the chat. And meanwhile, one of the things that I really and maybe I can ask also Leila and Jenny, Sarah, if you can all put your video on as we enter into the Q&A. One of the things that struck me when I first learned about the ecosystem, it was Wikidata. I did not understand what is Wikidata, and then how do all the other major players on internet use Wikidata, like Google or Facebook. Can you explain that better, how Wikidata works, what it is and how it works? Who want to pick that?
I can maybe take like the first step. So basically, you can think of Wikidata. One of the aspects that you can think about Wikidata from this angle is that it is a knowledge base behind Wikipedia. And by this, really what I mean is that Wikipedia is free-form text for the most part. If you look at the information boxes or tables, you have relatively structured text within Wikipedia. But a lot of the text that is written in Wikipedia is free form. And one of the challenges that this introduces is that it is incredibly hard for machines to read this free form text and understand what is in the text of Wikipedia. Now, this is not the only reason Wikidata exists today, but one of the main reasons that it makes sense to have a project, a knowledge base that creates structured data that supports the information that is available on Wikipedia. So basically you can think of Wikidata as a set of triplets that give you some claims or information about the content that exists on Wikipedia, but in a more structured way and machine usable way. Of course, Wikidata has a variety of other advantages. So it makes, for example, content translation much easier across languages. If in a given language you have fewer editors, but you have enough translators, if you translate these triplets in that language, then having the construct and building the articles in those languages become much easier.
Thank you. Thanks for that. And so when it comes to the topic of reliable information, why do you think Wikipedia information is reliable information? If yes, why?
I think that I can explain because I'm also administrator. So, this is basically based on peer review. So everyone can for instance, check if the information is correct or not correct. And what is more important, can ask to have sources. So where this information comes from, is in order to check the quality of the information. In case this is not possible, they can also put on some disclaimer saying, please be kind to consult this information, but it needs some other external sources, for instance. We must consider that Wikipedia is not a primary source, it's a secondary source, so it requires every time primary sources, references to primary sources. Wikidata too, eh?
And the primary sources, how are they selected? What do you consider reliable primary source?
Yes, every community creates their own rules. And they, for instance, they say, okay, this is a high quality primary source, this is not a high quality primary source, and so on. So they create some ranking. Surely, for instance, a personal blog is not considered a primary source. And every time someone refers to a blog, at least in my experience, this reference is cancelled. Or commercial website, if this does not concern exactly the information. So there is the community to create their own rule about this quality of information.
I can't resist this question. Right now, how is the community ranking President of the United States as a reliable source or not? Is that also?
So people, I can maybe take this even, like I should highlight that I'm not an administrator or a very active editor on the projects, but people are not primary sources, right? So you can look at, I'll put it in the chat, you can look at English Wikipedia, and then from there, because we shared English as a language in this talk, I'll put the link to English Wikipedia. You can see how English Wikipedia community handles the reliability of sources. And from that page, you can look at how different communities are handling that. There are criteria for a source to be a source. So for example, you can look at the definition of source in that page. It needs to be published. If I say something, it doesn't count as a source. It needs to be published. The context in which the publication happens matters. The age and how old this content is matters. There's a lot of criteria and thinking that goes into this, but I would say one person speaking is not a reliable source necessarily.
Yeah, okay. I actually tested the last week. I remember that there was some celebrity person that died, and I remember listening to the news a la minute, and a minute after it was on Wikipedia. It was there, and I'm like, how did this happen? And I can understand that probably the news was published somewhere, and the moment the news was published, it went on Wikipedia straight away. Somebody cared to do that. So I can see a question. Thanks, Barbara, for that. The question is, can you track who is viewing or using information? And if so, what is the breakdown of users and how is it changing?
Yeah, maybe I can take some of this, Barbara. Thanks so much for the question. So my team focuses, part of our team's focus is understanding who are Wikipedia readers. So if by using information, you mean those who directly come to Wikipedia or other Wikimedia projects to learn, yes, The who part depends with what you exactly mean in that question. So we don't collect a lot of data, and specifically we don't have demographics data of the readers that come to Wikipedia, because Wikipedia basically is available without a login, right? So we actually don't have a username, we don't have like any way of knowing really who's coming. We have the IP addresses of the readers, and through that we can do geolocation to understand which part of the world they're coming from. That's what we know. I'll put a link after I say this, but basically we have done relatively extensive study to understand like what are the demographics of Wikipedia readers in terms of their gender, age, locale, native language, and what they do when they come to the website. Happy to share more, but I'll put a link here just in the interest of time. I don't expand a lot more now.
Thank you. And there's a follow-up question from Raki. Thanks for that. The platforms are democratizing access to information. Do you see risks of use of the data, or putting checks and balances that information is then being leveraged by other products, services for commercial use, or does it matter? Try that.
Yes, Wikipedia is a license, so everyone can take the content, can modify the content, can use the content also for commercial use. But the check that the community does in Wikipedia is strongly based on no conflict of interest. So basically, for instance, if I am employed in one company, I have to announce in my user page that I have some conflict of interest. So in order to check the quality of this information, and anyways, we have a strong neutral point of view policy. So we have to balance every information with other information. So it's difficult that someone can take the control of an article and can manage the content of this article.
Thank you. We have one more question from Matteo. We are living in very amazing time. I like that definition. And during the pandemic period, we saw also an infodemic. Which role Wiki can play to support people to find the right information and avoid an information war between countries? All we know the role of Russian hackers team and
I can take maybe this one. This is, as you said, Matteo, thanks so much for your question. This is, it's an interesting time that we're in. There's definitely like fast moving space as it comes to disinformation on Wikipedia and on other platforms. I would say the opportunity that exists here is that Wikipedia has figured out a way to scale patrolling across many different languages. This is something that major platforms are currently struggling with, right? So while I don't want to say that everything that is in Wikipedia is accurate, I want to say that the community has figured out a way that scales for maintaining the information on the projects. And they're doing an incredible amount of time, amount of work and quality of work to assure that the content that is on the project is reliable. I would say really that it is on all of us as citizens of the world to step in and support the community in any way that we can. As readers of Wikipedia, we do have responsibility. If you see that content that is not correct, that is not verifiable, to step in and help support the community in the work that they're doing. And at the end, Wikipedia is going to be the best of what we are, right? So it's a reflection of the society and what we do. I encourage us to step in and support the project to be even better in this space.
Wow. So we can try a couple of more questions and then we do the treasure hunt, which will really test us on this topic. What about sources referencing URL expired? Any plan to reference Internet Archive or somewhat a local copy of the source to prevent loss of validation?
In this case, I will say that the community can add content, can modify content, but also they can run some bots. Bots are some programs. And for instance, as I know, there are several bots that control daily or periodically the references and put an alert of each references saying, okay, last check of this was done today, or this link is broken. So other people of the community can fix the link. So it's also about the reference of Internet Archive, there are something similar.
So you mentioned 500,000 volunteers behind the whole machine. I mean, how do they work? Is there a hierarchy? Where do they come from? How do you volunteer? And do you have a career inside Wikipedia? All of a sudden you become some super duper guru or editor, or how does that work in terms of organizing the whole machine of 500,000? I mean, if I talk to any organization and I say you have 500,000 people and get them to work, they will immediately tell me, okay, here is my organizational structure, common, and this is the day-to-day, this is the department, and this is, how do you do that? How do you organize that machine? Please answer.
Ilario, maybe you want to answer this because
Yes.
you're a long-term Wikipedian in that field. I can only say that, you know, it's based on a lot of discussions as well. Of course, I mean, people are voting as well. They're voting for the administrators and others. And the more you do, the more rights you can get if you so want, and you can present yourself to get more rights. And people are closely working together, and they're tons of discussions. If you go on the pages, if people are not in agreement, well, they discuss until there is some form of agreement, or maybe even both, you know, both opinions are then staying there. But I mean, Ilario is really there from the beginning. He's also one of the founders of Wikimedia Switzerland, which we haven't said in the beginning. So maybe Ilario, you can say a couple of words to that too.
Yeah. No, is exactly. There is not a strict hierarchy. Basically, for instance, the administrator have some small powers, let's say like a cancel or blocking people or pages. There are some other roles, but basically it's the community to select all these. It's really, let's say, if the community feels that a person has a quality, they elect this person to be administrator or to be, I don't know, check user, something like this. And what is really interesting anyways is that, for instance, still now, I know a lot of people in Wikipedia, but only as a name, for instance. I don't know them in person. I don't know what they are. And for instance, if they ask me friendship in Facebook, I don't know exactly who is this person. And after they say, yes, but I'm this user. Okay, so this is really to really understand that there is a lot of anonymity in Wikipedia. So we know each other exactly because we speak or we discuss each other, but not for other things.
I find this one of the most fascinating part of this machine. I personally study self-management and self-organizations, and I know how scary the thought of it can be for most organizations. And then you realize that you have the website, one of the most visited websites in the world that actually rely exactly on that, on self-organizations and mechanism of self-reinforcement and peer-to-peer accountability, and that are so unconventional to most organizations that for some maybe legitimate reason, they fear that kind of structure. So it's a paradox. That's why I think the story of Wikimedia, the story of Wikipedia should be more and more known as a huge success of global collaboration, trust, self-management, self-organization. And maybe I'll pick one more question, but then we will have 5 minutes at the end to also try to answer some of those questions. So that Bennett is asking, do you think the quality of information in Wikipedia could be improved if there was a transparent and fair way of rewarding good volunteers and punishing malicious actors? Which for me also means, have you personally had to deal with some malicious actors? How does that work?
Yes, there are several. Yes, it's the community. It's the community to identify all these actors, and they can, for instance, ask administrator to block someone or to, yes, to manage some conflict. But there are surely several of these malicious actors. Surely. What is more complicated is to identify to identify them exactly. This is the most critical point.
Right.
If I may add, Carlo, one point to this, because this is an important one. I think as we think about motivations for editors, it is very important to think about what are the motivations that are bringing editors in today, and what are the opportunities we have for bringing new editors to the pool in the future. I think the issue, like the idea around rewards and punishment, is a nice idea. However, I encourage us to think about the reasons that people come, because there's a body of research that also shows that if I'm coming for altruistic reasons to Wikipedia and contributing to Wikipedia, if you come and tell me, you know, you're going to get $1 or you're going to get the star for doing X, it actually demotivates me. While it can be a really good motivator for people who come for other reasons and contribute to Wikipedia. So I would say other forms of rewards can be considered, should be explored, but we should very carefully navigate this, not to unmotivate the already existing editor base.
Thank you. And one angle I remember we had discussed in our previous meeting was, how can organizations, let's say businesses and organizations, leverage on the open source Wikidata? So I remember a lot of the projects that you show me. I remember once you showed me, look, with Wikidata, you can create very quickly a map of all the castles that you have in Switzerland. And I was like, I can do that? Yes, you can. All you have to learn is how to play with the Wikidata. And so do organizations start to understand that there is an incredible treasure of big data out there that is available, and perhaps they can start thinking of how they could use? Do you have some example on how organization could leverage on the use of Wikidata?
Yes. My experience, for instance, the statistical office of Zurich use a lot Wikidata. And as I know, there are some private companies in Switzerland, big private companies in Switzerland involved in insurance, so risk management, using Wikidata.
The SBB CFF also uses Wikidata, right?
Exactly.
SBB Historic and others, they're using and tapping on that already.
In what context? Can you maybe give one example?
In what context? Well, they were mapping, actually, they wanted to create the first digital or digitally connected railway station. And so they started with Zurich and started to connect all the data related to trains and also train stations in Switzerland to all the different wiki articles and everything else. So you could actually then, you know, go on a map and click on even a train station which is not existent anymore, and then, you know, link to the pictures, link to actually the data, and see at what date and why it was not, it's not there anymore, you know, and what happened, and all the different data, like SBB Historic, for example, would deal with all of that. And when there was the Gotthard opening, you know, a lot of this history was also rolled back. So a lot of these data are actually already in use, and many would not know that this happens and that this data is actually used in that way.
Fantastic. So I really want to play the treasure hunt with everybody. So maybe Ilario, we can, and thanks Leila, Sarah, Jenny, I'll call you back in a few minutes once we're done with the treasure hunt. how does that work, Ilario? You have some questions for us? Maybe one invitation for everybody now. You will have, of course, the question on Zoom, but we will be asking you to search on the internet these questions. So you can use your mobile or you can use your browser. Ilario, maybe we can start by sharing the screen.
I will share the screen.
And like before, we will be using menti.com to give your answer. So let's start with the first question.
Yes, the first question is really simple. So I give you some questions and you can check and you can answer. For instance, the first question is this. There is a highway built inside the tower in Japan. So you can check in internet. We have, for instance, 1 minute, and you can check, you can answer what you think about that. I think the first question is really simple, honestly. It's only...
Okay, let's give it a go very quickly. There is a highway inside the tower in Japan.
Inside the tower in Japan, built inside the tower. There is a building,
true?
And inside there is also a highway.
Okay. Is this fake news? Is it true? Is it false? Maybe?
True. Yeah.
I also want to make sure that everybody remember about the effect of you see somebody else answering and then you just follow. Keep yourself, independent in your choice, in the way you choose your answer. So a highway, you mean a real highway inside a town? Why would?
Yes. Probably because there is no space in Japan, and
okay.
I don't know.
So it looks like most people are leaning toward the true while they keep answering. What's the answer, Ilario?
Yes, I give you the answer. Yes, basically is this. You see that exactly in Osaka, there is this rampway built inside a tower.
Gate Tower Building, Osaka. Okay.
Gate Tower Building, exactly.
Super. Okay, as you say, that this maybe was an easy one. Question number 2.
Question number 2. Okay, the title is A Ghost Town and the Strange Experiment. So my question is, a ghost town in New Jersey had been hiding experimental equipment for research on quantum physics for years.
Okay, has been hiding experimental equipment for research and quantum physics for years. Yes. Is this true, false, or maybe? Again, the invitation is search the web and see what you can get.
Yes, there is also the third option, maybe. It's not exactly true.
The safe one, huh?
Yes. Yes, it seems like a film, no? Adventure film, but it can be good to hide exactly big experimental equipment.
I'm also researching now on Google, ghost town in New Jersey. What do I get? Maybe I have to add the quantum physics. So I found something. Now, is it true or not? That's the good question. I found some answers. So I'll pretend I believe in that. So what's the answer, Ilario? It looks like most people, apart from me, that little dot is the truth. It's me.
Yes, I give you exactly. It was probably one of the first fake news in internet before the creation of internet, when people used the bulletin board system, BBS, or Xerox mail, very old technology. And they have created this strange theory that exactly in Hong's head, this town, there were these renegade Princeton professors conducting quantum physics. And after this has also inspired the creation of a serial TV about this.
Okay, so it was fake news. This is not true.
Fake news, not true.
Okay.
Exactly. If you see below, it's a no.
So I actually said yes. Okay.
Yes.
Good. Next question.
Next one is more complicated. It exists. Okay, is this? It exists. This sport, synchronized football.
Oh,
so it's basically an individual sport popular mainly in southern Norway, and it's a hybrid of regular football and penalty kicks, consisting of only one-man team. Each player serves as his own goalkeeper and striker simultaneously. So basically, people have and can
so
they must defend and yes.
My answer would be, if it doesn't exist, we should invent it, because it sounds cool. It sounds like a cool game.
But yes.
What happened when you search for this? What do you think? Does it exist? Does it not exist? I'm gonna look at it. Synchronized football. Okay. It comes from mathematically perfected synchronized field layout. Wow. Okay.
I think that this is a good example to check how we can check the quality of the information. And for instance, okay, I have this information, but I need the main reference of this information.
And this is even tricky because there are videos there, I can see. I can also find some videos about this.
Yes. Okay. There are some videos, but imagine that...
Okay, so it looks like a little bit more spread this time. True, false, maybe. Yes. But with most people in the... Oh, here are the false ones. Okay.
Okay.
What's the answer?
Yes, I think that this was one of the most complicated fake news. Fake news. Yes, because after 12 years, the community discovered that there were no good references. So they, if you check this link, they decided to cancel because they said we don't have any reference and nothing else. So in our opinion, this is a fake news. What is the biggest problem? Is that in internet there are still some clone of Wikipedia not updated. They still report this information.
And that cannot be fixed?
I think that time by time they will be fixed because they will synchronize this information. But it was really hard to identify this.
Okay. But this stayed for 12 years also on Wikipedia.
Exactly.
Okay.
Imagine with several disclaimers, so there are no references.
Okay.
No? So if someone does not report anything.
Wow.
Okay.
Next question.
Next question. From Italy to Greece on foot. So basically, okay, during the first Olympic Games, modern Olympic Games, an Italian athlete worked between Italy and Athens by foot to participate in the Olympics.
An Italian athlete had walked the path between Italy and Athens. Wow, walked to participate in the Olympics. Okay.
Imagine that.
In 1896. Oh, yes, there are no eyewitness alive that can afraid.
No, but imagine some runner that can say, okay,
All right, let's check the web. What can we find about this? 1896, Italian walking to Athens. I can find Wikipedia, something from Wikipedia. Huh. You see, I'm a fast believer. So if I check and I can find the Wikipedia, I go like, yeah, that's real, true. I'm gonna give my true here and submit it. Okay. What is the real answer?
Yes, this is true. It was Carlo Eroldi. What is the problem is that if you check the participant, you cannot find it because he didn't participate exactly because it was considered professional and was not eligible to compete. This is the biggest problem.
It's true that he walked all the way, exactly. But it's not true that he participated to the Olympic Games.
No, because yes, he thought to participate to marathon. So this is why. And having no money has created this, let's say, is like the first, I don't know to say, first blogger. So basically has had an agreement with an Italian newspaper to document all this travel. And to compensate him, this Italian newspaper paid all the travel, so the whole travel. Yes.
Amazing. Thanks, Ilario. Do you have one more question, or that was the last one?
No, there is one. It's very, very difficult.
I like that. Let's finish with the very, very
I really spent a lot of time to check the reality of this. So the question is, the first plane to fly with a pilot was Albanian. And the inventor was Hasan Masurica. I don't know how to speak.
Was the first to fly a plane with a pilot on board in 1899 before the 1903 Wright brothers flight. Ooh, that can get political.
Yes, I had a lot of difficulties because
I will search on Google who flew the first plane.
Can be the
first.
This is exactly to this guy can really display you how Wikipedia have to work, because there are several sources in several languages, so there is also to translate from other languages. So here imagine that there are some sources in Albanian, some sources in Arabian, so it's quite difficult to document.
Okay, but again, okay. History of aviation. It's a tough one.
But imagine that if you put the name Hasan Masurica, I think that are a lot of information and quite complicated to learn, to understand.
So my ball went into true, but I like to lose. So let's see. What's the answer?
Exactly. This was really difficult. It was a hoax. So it's been cancelled. Yes, it's been cancelled in English Wikipedia, but what is really strange, it still exists, the article in Albanian Wikipedia. The deletion was after 6 years. So after 6 years, the community checked that this was really a hoax. Difficult to find. But for instance, the comment is good because the article said his first invention happened during 1902, but you see that there are some contradictions. And this is why people put this on cancellation.
So it's been cancelled from the English version of Wikipedia, but it's still there in the Albanian
Wikipedia.
version of Wikipedia.
Yes.
Some nationalist community that doesn't want to let that go.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, wow, interesting. Okay. Wow, so all this is sort of a lot of food for thought, in the sense, okay, how do we deal with searching for these news and finding good answers? It's interesting. I think what I want to invite is, as we know, we learn better when we can say something about it, and it's difficult to speak all together. So I will just allow us to go and discuss our own impressions of what we've heard in group of 3. So if you can, and for 5 minutes, really, 5-7 minutes to exchange with a person or two how you felt about what you have heard and any of your reflection. And then I will call you back in the plenary for the last 5 minutes. So really the question I would like to ask you all is, after you've heard what you've heard, what are your first reaction and reflection about Wikimedia and reliable information? So I will ask now, oops, yes, I will create the rooms and I will send you out. I will see you back in 7 minutes here. Please accept to go into the rooms so that you can do these quick discussions. So since we are also recording this session and hoping to make it available for more people, I will try and join one of the rooms so that the recording can also go on. So there's a small group of us rebels staying outside of the breakout rooms. But if we want to engage in a small conversation, this can be an additional breakout room. So there's a.
Sorry, I was supposed to be in 6, so I'm sorry I had to get off of my big screen and then disconnected.
But that's okay. I can see there's also Andrea, Jon, and Judith. If you guys want to join this conversation here.
Sure.
Feel free. And then in a few minutes, I will call everybody back.
Might be just you and me.
Oh,
Nobody else seems to be there.
I just warn us that there will be ears listening, so because I know they are there.
Very, very funny, Carlo. I'm like you. I'll just believe everything I read.
Oh.
Sure, it's in black and white. I get it. It must be right.
And then I learned how much meticulous work. I don't know. That's one exercise that I always suggest my friend to do. Try and change something on Wikipedia, and you will understand the real, how does that work. There's our president here that has been trying to change his birthday on Wikipedia for ages.
Wow.
And he couldn't do that because the people who still don't find reliable reference that what he says is true. And
so there's no birth certificate. No birth certificate for Craig.
I don't know. That must be John, if I recognize the voice.
Hi, Carla. Yes.
Hi, John.
Hi, Monique.
Hi. I was alone in my room.
Oh, were you? I'm sorry.
Information wasn't working that. No, there was Lawrence there, but he didn't have a microphone, so it wasn't.
Okay. So we have created a rebel group here in the main room.
Nice to be here.
So we were saying with Kim that we are similar in the sense that once it's black and white written, we tend to fall very easily into believing that, you know, and for me also when it ranks high in the Google search and when I see the same thing 2-3 times, I'm negligent. I don't spend enough time trying to really check whether, but I do sometimes, I must say.
Well, I think it also depends on the source as well. I mean, I don't use YouTube as a source of information, so, or Facebook. So, I mean, I read proper newspapers and, you know.
But I think there is the same risk in reading the newspapers. I don't believe in newspapers a lot.
Not as bad.
It might not be as bad, but in the newspaper, there are few who decide what is going to be written in, and you can't react to it. You have to just take the news as it comes. And if I see the articles which talk about something that I really know about, I see that what is written is not the same as reality, and that I think is very scary. And that is also excellent.
That's true. They are out there just to read for readership. That is true. You do have to take it with a grain of salt, I think. You're right.
The other issue, I think, which is interesting, is we're all under extreme amount of pressure. And while the internet searches can allow us to go quickly and get information, we don't have the time because of the pressure to check what we found on Google. And therefore, that's where the fake news era factor comes in. We just tend to try to get an answer, not the right answer.
Very true. One of the, you were talking about the source, Kim, one of the most scary, I remember the last Future of Work gathering, we did it in December, and it was about digital transformation. And there was one consultant from Deloitte who was explaining the deep fake video.
Right, I remember that. I
remember that.
Yeah.
That really put the alarm on me because so there is now the next level of fake is real videos. So an algorithm can easily take my face and make me say anything and use my voice. And he was telling us how there were already 3 documented cases in organizations where through this technique, they managed to wire millions, basically the CEO phoning the CFO and saying, okay, so you have to do this wire transfer of 5 million to that company because it's urgent and must be done now, entering in a video call and repeating that, and then the CFO listening to that and doing the wiring, and then it afterwards until they discover that was a deep fake. So technology is there, it's ready. That is really,
That's really frightening.
Very frightening.
That's the reason I think we should all be very aware of the information that we get. I mean, from Wikipedia, but from the newspapers, from the television, everywhere. And really try to get the information from different sources, but with our intelligence to think with our brains and not what they let us. I mean, this same thought I had the first time that I saw Photoshop, when I saw a picture that I could just move around and change. And this was years back. And from then on, every time that I look at a picture on a newspaper, wherever, the first thing I think, is that true or is that not true? And we have this exercise within ourselves. We are more accurate on believing or not believing what is told to us. No.
Well, plus something fake gets in there and it just circulates. You can see what John was saying. It just circulates, starts one place, and then, you know, a week later it's somewhere else, and, you know, even 6 months later, a year later, things are being quoted. So yeah, it's very difficult, I think, nowadays.
Yeah.
It's really the speed of processing those information and the network that helps everything grow, which is really making the spread out of fake news really, really quick. So I think from our side, it's a lot about making sense out of the information that we see.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to invite everybody to keep the video on for this final part. So we not only a name and a tag. Again, for those who want, please leave your name and LinkedIn link in the chat so that if you want to connect with others, you can do that. Everybody volunteer that contact in there. And then, I mean, what you can do is copy and paste the chat into a Word file so you keep it with you. I also wanted to say that I've been recording this session, and in the coming days, I will send an email to everybody to get the consent to publish this on YouTube. I think it's been a great informative session, but if somebody doesn't want to and doesn't want to see the video, you let me know, please, eventually. And before we get into conclusion, so I wanted to check with Jenny if you feel like trying to help with some conclusions here at the end of, and then maybe anybody else who want to add something.
Yes, for sure. I mean, it was a very interesting session, and so thank you as well to Leila for her presentation, to Ilario and Sarah, and of course to you, Carlo, for this excellent moderation. From what we've seen, I mean, there are a lot of questions out there, and I'm sorry if you felt a bit overwhelmed with these questions, if they were true or false, or, you know, we thought that in times of COVID now, where there was so much false information around and people were wondering what is actually happening and whatnot, that this was really an interesting topic to take to you. And, you know, the question as well that I would like to raise at the end is like, what did you learn, or what are you taking away from this session, or how will this, what you've heard today maybe change the way in which you will search for information, or the way in which you treat information, or, you know, or will you become an active Wikipedian, which would be great, so you can directly write to me or to Ilario. But this is really what I would like to say in the end. And of course, a big thank you to all of you for your active participation.
I will share the slides with all the participants, where you will find also the contacts of Jenny. We as Franklin University Switzerland, we want to try and engage our students in contributing to the whole Wikimedia projects. Because of the skills that you have presented, I can see how much there is to gain in participating in a project like this, even feeling empowered as a citizen that my little contribution can make a global contribution possible. I think that's a wonderful message for young students to carry with them and practice with. So that's for sure. And then anybody in their organization, in this group, can think and find a way to contribute and join the Wikimedia projects. Leila, is there a final word that you would like to add, or?
Yeah, I would just thank you all so much for, as Jenny said, for the participation and your engagement. I do want to leave you all with a message of hope and participation. I encourage you all to reach out to Ilario, Jenny, and Sarah and Wikimedia Switzerland team. Wikimedia projects are only possible because of small and big contributions by everyone. So I encourage you to not feel overwhelmed. And even if you can do just a little, know that just a little counts a lot. We are building the knowledge for the future generations, and each of us can have a part in it. So I encourage you to just roll up your sleeves and get involved at the level that is possible to you.
That's wonderful. Is there anybody who wants to leave us with the final thought? Just put your voice up and just say it. I truly believe in self-organization, so I'm sure it will work. That was intimidating. Monique.
Some time back, well, it was a few months back, or maybe a couple of years, I had a thought of putting together an app, and the title was What to Do. I have a fear that there is a lack of buon senso, common sense, which is increasing in the world. And I find that there's maybe even too much information going on, and the people are getting more and more confused. So once I thought, why not doing an app where one would see where the sources come from and could ask also very simple questions. And maybe this could be an idea that I could talk about with Ilario or somebody else some other time and see if that would be sensible or not.
Thank you, Monique. I am conscious of time. I need to be Swiss, and I will be Swiss. So I would like to really thank everybody for the participation. Thanks, Jenny, Ilario, Leila, and Sarah for your contribution, very precious, and the contribution of everybody. I will send the slides to everybody. Before I close the meeting, again, last chance to copy and paste the chat if you want to keep it with you, and you want to keep all the links of the LinkedIn profile. And we will stay in touch in the coming days when I will send the slides and when we will be planning for our next session. Thank you, everybody, once again, and have a wonderful evening or day if you are on the other side of the world.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Ciao.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Carlo, Ilario, before I jump out, is there anything you need from me or all good?
Oh, thank you.
One last thank you very, very much, Len.
Thanks so much for having me.
Very nice presentation.
Yeah, I really hope nobody will object with the sharing the video on YouTube, because that can really help us spreading even more the message through our channel. So
yeah.
Hopefully that will be fine.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Paolo, have
I will
a
close
safe
the meeting
flight.
then. Bye. 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 Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.